Good morning, everybody, and Merry Christmas. It's December 19th. Christmas season is upon us, and it'll be here before you know it. But anyway, today I wanted to kind of do a quick video on another one of our issues here of EGM. This is jumping ahead to January of 1998. It's issue 102. And as you can see, it's not a super thick issue. This is one that I don't remember really well, and so I'm kind of excited to kind of take a look at it and see what's in there, what ads, what games are featured. As you can see on the front cover, it shows the image of Resident Evil 2. Zombies ate my PlayStation, so this is something that is, I believe, before Resident Evil 2 came out for PlayStation. Of course, up on top has all the systems that are covered: N64, PlayStation, Saturn, Super NES, Genesis, and the arcade, and it says complete history of video games inside. It also says here featured Quest 64, which was a Nintendo 64 RPG, Samurai Showdown, the Winter Olympics, San Francisco Rush The Rock, which was like a pseudo sequel for San Francisco Rush, Chameleon Twist, Spawn, Panzer Dragoon Saga, and Forsaken 64. So let's take a look at this one here together. As you can see, it was $4.99. Now I notice all the magazines, when you go to Barnes & Noble or what have you, they're like $9, $10, $12 for a magazine, which is crazy. But anyway, another 2-page ad. Once again, I can already hear like the glue coming undone, so I'm not going to stretch it out too much. But a 2-page ad here for Spawn the Eternal for PlayStation. Like I've mentioned in the past, I do like, oh, it's actually maybe a fold out. Oh, here it is. Oh, okay. So he tears off your arms, especially when it belongs to the other guy. Spawn the Eternal. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Death Trap Dungeon for PlayStation. Now this company here, I never knew how to say the name. I don't know if it's Eidos or Eidos or maybe another pronunciation. So just a curiosity. So this was a, it gives kind of Tomb Raider vibes. I know it's the same developer, like medieval Tomb Raider vibes. But once again, I really appreciated the 2-page ads. Let's see. So now this is a claim with their quarterback. Wait, no. This is not a claim. This is just, I guess, the NFL advertising their different football games for the different systems. Featuring Quarterback Club 98 on the N64, which were high-def graphics. Weird models, but they were high-def. Once again, a coupon for a game, an Acclaim game, either Quarterback Club or Extreme G. I had both those games, and I did not use the coupon because I was thinking, about YouTube in the future. All right, so video game timeline about all the history of video games. Of course, a feature of Resident Evil 2 on PlayStation. And then, like I mentioned, the games at the beginning, kind of the feature previews. So yeah, and then this is a game. So this one actually provided a game directory in the front showing where you can find said games, which is kind of helpful because if you pull this out and you go, hey, I want to look at an article on Mario 64, well, you can pop in here and see it's on page 176. So, but it's funny because you can see the difference. Now they're getting a little bit more modern with their graphics or what have you versus the previous ones. So it's a 2-page ad for Parappa the Rapper, which was a PlayStation game that was very popular, and I never played. I never got into it. I never tried. I was intrigued by the character designs, especially this onion guy, but I never played it. I never played it ever. So if anybody's played it, was it a good game? I mean, what was it all about? Was it a button masher, or were you just selecting words to rap, or I don't know. So we're here at the EGM letters section, and Colony Wars Cry Freedom for PlayStation. And of course, they were giving away a controller, a SharkPad Pro, a Barracuda, or an Eclipse stick. if you got letter of the month. So interesting. Screenshot it if you guys want to read the letter of the month. More letters talking about running Doom on the Atari 2600. I wonder if that was real. Well, this is a straight up letter, a really, straight to the point letter. Are you biased? EGM is and always been biased. We really like good games. We really hate bad games. Well, that's a good explanation. In that case, I guess they are biased. Colony Wars, another coupon. Never played the game. More letter art, pretty cool. Croc, Final Fantasy, Princess Peach as Toad Raider, and Street Fighter 3. Very cool artwork. Very cool artwork. Now, this here, it's an ad for a game called Courier Crisis. This reminds me, and maybe it was, but this reminds me of Paperboy. Just this aesthetic here. I don't know what the game was about. I never played it, but that reminds me of Paperboy. I don't know how many of you guys played Paperboy, but that was one of my favorite NES games, and this kind of gives me that vibe. 250 Extreme Errand, so it's probably like Paperboy for Saturn and PlayStation. So if anybody in the comments has played this game, let me know. Moving on, so we have, so an ad back for Fighting Force, which was, like I mentioned, I believe it was 2-player, but 4-player on the N64. It's like a beat 'em up, like The Simpsons or Ninja Turtles. Okay, so now this is an article about the passing of, I may ruin his name, but I believe it was Gunpei Yokai, which was the inventor of the Game Boy and the Virtual Boy, and he had passed away, and so this was kind of a memorial to him. This is concern grows that introduction of the 64DD will split the N64 market in two. That can happen with any add-on. That's why companies have to be so careful. Even like with the PlayStation 5 Pro, they're limited on how great they can make it, just because then certain developers will only develop games for the PS5 Pro hardware, and it'll only work with PS5 Pro, and now you cut the other PS5 people out. And so it's like you have to play that. You kind of have to balance things out. But I would like to buy one of these just to collect. I'm sure you can probably find them on eBay, but... And then the Super Nintendo with the new redesign. I have no problem with it. I ended up buying one a few years back at a local game shop that I'm hoping to do a video with very soon. Really nice guy. He has a nice shop here locally, and I bought it there because I never had one, so I wanted to add one to my collection. 50 million strong. Sony celebrates production of 50 millionth disc, 37 miles high. Wow. Game mass destruction here. 2-page ad for Pitfall 3D, an old Atari game that they reimagined or reinvented. Companies declare war on the senses of potential players. So yeah, a lot of the ads back in the early 90s or late 90s, mid 90s were very like in your face. And I wonder what the science is behind that. It was a lot of, the Sega scream and play it loud, and a lot of jerky motions, a lot of colors, a lot of like really in your face, like this. Nintendo tells gamers get in or get out. Like that type of very, very in your face. So it must have worked. We still remember them today. And then the Reality Quest glove, which was a reintroduction of like the Power Glove. Never bought it. Wasn't interested in it. Power Glove was always a gimmick. The reason it sold was because it was featured in The Wizard and everybody wanted it because of the movie. But I mean, in terms of it actually being a good accessory, no. So some ads here, PCs with token slots, Tennis Arena, which is a PlayStation tennis game. Nintendo gears up for Space World 97. Legend of Zelda: The Ocarina of Time is expected to be the highlight of Nintendo Space World 97. I remember those days when they were talking about the unveiling, the playable demos of Ocarina of Time, which it ended up, becoming Ocarina of Time. It's like you wanted to just get any information, and back then we didn't have the internet, so it was like you had to wait till the next month issue. This one here, magazine here, they were pretty thorough, but it was always like, okay, where can I get more information? And at the infancy of the internet, with your dial-up 56K modem, it wasn't as easy to get information as it is now, where you just grab your phone and go to X and look up stuff. But anyway, an ad for Frogger here. 2-page ad for Star Wars Masters of Terrascasi. Galaxy is far, far away. The fighting is up close and personal. So you're seeing a lot of similar ads because of the time frame that we're looking at here. A lot of similar ads from previous magazines. And that's why I wanted to I want to jump ahead back and forth, just because it gets very redundant when you're just like, oh, same ads, same games, same ads, same games. Excalibur for PlayStation, and some video game gossip and speculations about Midway's Secret Racer. Sega's Dural on the horizon. Dural was, I believe, ended up being a Dreamcast. Donkey Kong 64, Donkey Kong Country 64, Capcom stuff, and some quickies. Duke Nukem, Total Meltdown, and Duke Nukem 64 for Nintendo 64. I don't know, you get kind of spoiled after you play GoldenEye, during the N64 time period, like no other shooter kind of matches up. So now we're looking at the Nintendo 64 preview. So you see here it was during the Olympics. So you had Nagano Winter Olympics 98. And then of course you have some previews of upcoming Nintendo 64 titles, Ocarina of Time, Yoshi's Island, Chameleon Twist, which I never played, but it looked fun. It was, you were a chameleon with a really long tongue, and your tongue was kind of like your weapon, or helped you get to places. It was like your arm, your hand. It was everything. You have Quest 64, which is a RPG that I was very interested in, but I wasn't an RPG guy. So it looked cool, but I never played it. And then you had all these bundles of different controllers. I didn't like these third-party controllers. I like to get Nintendo stuff. The one I would get Mad Catz maybe. But I was very kind of like picky. I didn't just buy, because some of this stuff was really, really cheap. Another preview of WWF Warzone, Hybrid Heaven, which I don't know if that game ever came out. I know they were talking, I think it did. It looked really cool, the graphics and everything. But this game looked awesome. The graphics for its time looked really, really cool. How many really cools are we at today? 15, 20? I'll probably say it about 100 times in this video. Ad here for Barracuda. So you have a 2-page ad for a controller by Interact. Was it wireless? I can't tell. It looks like it's wired, but Forsaken 64, another cool like shooter type of game, but you're in a vehicle. Z-Axis Basketball, I don't know what that ever became, if it even came out. Gasp Fighters Next Stream. Sheer Terror, Clock Tower for PlayStation. So yeah, these are all. So this right here, Olympic Hockey, was basically, as you can tell, the same engine as Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey. They just made a international version of it. So I'm sure the game was fun. In the Zone 98. Okay. I remember we were so hungry for a like a new NBA game, because the last NBA game we had was NBA Live 98 for Super Nintendo. So it was just like anything that would come out for N64 we wanted. And so this game came out, NBA in the Zone 98, and it was not good. And I want to say we returned it. We may have returned it or sold it. I'm not sure, but I think we returned it. It was so bad. And then we ended up getting Kobe Bryant basketball courtside. Bug Riders, The Race of Kings. Puyo Puyo Sun 64. Never played it before, but I did play it on the Switch when it was released with the Tetris. It was like Puyo Puyo and Tetris. I got it for a gift and pretty fun. Advertising, some surround sound speakers. An ad for Sonic R, which was like, what was it? A racing game? On foot racing game? Don't know much about that. 2-page ad here for, what is this? Last Bronx. I'm not familiar with this game either. I don't know, I kind of avoided Sega news. I don't know, it was kind of like a Nintendo versus Sega type of thing. And it was just like we were Team Nintendo, so we really were not very well versed in Sega news. Panzer Dragoon Saga for the Saturn. I know that game. WCW versus NWO World Tour. Burning Rangers for the Saturn. Lunar Magic School. Falcom Classics. And then another ad for WCW Nitro for the PlayStation. Electronic Arts Need for Speed V Rally. Which one of these 3 cars would you rather be driving? Well, obviously the one in front, because these you can't even see them. Then we have Final Fantasy Tactics and an ad for G Police for the PlayStation. Cardinal Sin and Spawn. So that's the game with that ad with the arm that was torn off. And an ad here for PlayStation, Beast Wars Transformers. Point Blank, which I believe was a shooting game. Yeah, see, best light gun ever. And then Blocks That Kill. What could this be? Intelligent Cube. You have to have a quick mind and even quicker thumbs. You can outwit the geometric terrors in this 3D brain twister and earn a score that'll have your chums kneeling at your genius feet. Oh, wow. Sounds intense. Klonoa, which was like a raccoon or a cat or something. Duke Nukem Total Meltdown and Z-Axis Soccer. So there's another one of those Z-Axis games. Time Crisis with a really cool light gun. And it says, hey kids, get one free in specially marked boxes of Time Crisis. It's a good looking gun. The most accurate gun on the PlayStation console. I used to like shooters. So then you have Nagano Winter Olympics 98 on the PlayStation. And then we have Namco Museum Volume 5. We have an ad here for Midway, so it's going to have a lot of their games. So this is a supplement that they advertise in. So let's run through it real quick. So we're going to have Rampage there, which was fun. Top Gear Rally, which was an N64 game. Really good. Then we're going to have, like I've mentioned in the past, Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey. That was fun. This game was... It was a decent fighter. The graphics looked cool. Decent fighter. Anthology Sub-Zero, and then you have the Arcade Greatest Hits and Pandemonium 2. Our programmers found a way to create the most authentic basketball game around by photocopying basketball players. NBA Fast Break. Maximum Force, shooting game. San Francisco Rush. Also, Gex, Enter the Gecko, Twisted Edge, Snowboarding, Olympic Hockey 98 coming soon. So now you have another racing, F1 racing game, Newman Haas Racing, Vigilante 8, which was like the new Twisted Metal, Punky Skunk. I've never played it, but I heard about it. This really interesting controller. March Madness 98, Alundra, PlayStation. Gran Turismo. So this was before it came out, which was a really good game. Tenchu was a really good ninja game. Xenogears, and then we have an ad for Race Storm again. Namco Museum Encore. An ad for Tomb Raider 2. And the guy has like a shrine to Lara Croft. Critical Depth. See there, I mean, it's just amazing how many games come out. And like, I bet you there's games here that like hardly any of us have ever played. It's like you see it and you go like, who would play that? And I bet you there's some people that love these games. The single, the RPG controller, so it's a one hand. Solar Assault, which was an arcade, which is kind of like a Star Fox game. And there's that chameleon twist, where the character has that long tongue that he uses to grab things. Arcade Motor Raid, Road's Edge, Command & Conquer Red Alert, supports mouse and link cable. Samurai Showdown 64 preview for arcade, along with a ad for Tetrisphere, which was Tetris on Nintendo 64, but it was on a sphere. I never played it. 2-page ad for, I believe this game is called One. And then coming soon for January 98 of all the PlayStation games, the Nintendo 64 and the Saturn. I mean, look at how many games are coming out for PlayStation. Look how many games were coming out for the cartridge-based Nintendo 64. And look how many were coming out for Saturn. This was still the new guy on the block in a sense, and because of the cartridges. But this should have been comparable to PlayStation. This and this, it's like, Houston, we have a problem. Shadow Master for PlayStation and PC. I've never played that, but that's a really cool artwork. And then a ad for Crash 2. Now, who remembers the Nintendo ads or the PlayStation ads where Crash would stand outside Nintendo headquarters in Seattle, I think, and he would call out Mario, I'm out here, blah, 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 blah. I always wondered, did Nintendo know? Was that legit? Or like, were they in on it? Or did Nintendo not know and did they call security? Like, I would like to know the story behind those ads. Because that was a funny ad. That, along with the Smash Brothers first ad where they're all fighting each other, that was a funny ad as well. So here's the video game timeline. I mean, going back to the 1950s. So just talking about a simple tennis game on an oscilloscope screen to entertain visitors to the Brookhaven National Laboratory, a nuclear research center operated in the U.S. He never patents a game. Had he done so, the federal government would have owned the rights to all video games. Oh, wow. So, to the 60s, to the 70s, to the Odyssey, coupon for Diddy Kong Racing. But see, that's why I never cut them out, too. I mean, you cut this out, and now you're losing this whole story of Pong. And there's some good information here about Pong. So that goes up to the 76 on this page here. An ad for Crime Killer. Okay, now we're talking. So this is like where I started. Atari. Here. You got Chuck E. Cheese. Nolan Bushnell with Pizza Time Theater. If you guys want to get some, see some cool Chuck E. Cheese stuff, check out my video of when I went to, it's one of my first videos. I I believe Northridge, and they have a Chuck E. Cheese with all the original animatronics in it. So check that out. It's a real short video, but it was a fun experience. And television in the 80s, Astrocade, an ad here for EGM Squared or EGM2 and some other supplemental magazines. Now we're in the 82, the ET situation, MRC Racing. I never liked the multiplayer on MRC, that it would cut off some of the screen to show you information. I didn't like that. Mad Catz Real Wheel, I had this. It was fun. Now we're jumping to 84. Now we have Popeye on the Atari. Now we have Donkey Kong Jr. An ad for Final Fantasy VII. And Nintendo in 1985. Kung Fu Master. I mean, look at the jump in video games. Zelda. An ad here for Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 98. And now we're here at Atari Lynx, Game Boy, Sega Genesis, and TurboGrafx, Game Gear, Super Nintendo, Atari Jaguar, Panasonic 3DO, Sega CD, Sony PlayStation, Virtual Boy, and so on and so forth. We have Nintendo 64, and we have a PlayStation. An ad for Felony 1179, which was a PlayStation game. 2 ways to play. Do you want to play PC or no PC? So an ad on playing games on the versus home console versus PC. First-person shooters, GoldenEye, Duke Nukem 64. Dragon Force. More bang for your buck. How much a computer cost you versus what a console would cost you with. So they're saying $2,500 for a personal computer, 233 megahertz Pentium 2, and then they're taking into effect the TV, surround sound, an EGM subscription for 2 years, $35. So they're saying that roughly the expense is the same. Check this out, guys. Screenshot and zoom in. The expense is the same between the two. I don't know if that's correct, but now they're starting to advertise websites. Zombies Ate My PlayStation, a 2-page ad. And then this is all just comparing the Resident Evil 2. Aero Fighters Assault, Automobili Lamborghini, Clay Fighter 63 1/3. These are all the ratings. I'm going to go through this kind of faster just because we're already getting 20 minutes and I'm sure most people clock out after the first 3. So here's just some of the games if you guys want to take a look. NBA Live, Jet Moto 2, MDK, Tomb Raider, the arcade sticks, and then of course ads. The top 3 overall games I'm going to go over: Colony Wars for PlayStation, Diddy Kong Racing for Nintendo 64, and Tomb Raider 2. Jumpstart strategies. Oh, this is the strategy page here. They changed it up a little bit for Crash Bandicoot. Makes it kind of hard to read. This new, and then some more Tricks of the Trade. Extreme G, Marvel, Clay Fighter 63 1/3, Super Mario 64. It's not really, it's just how to jump off the castle. And then they started advertising some equipment later, which was pretty cool. Motorola. Ads next month. So we're going to be looking at F-Zero X next month. Diddy Kong Racing. Their PlayStation magazine, which I don't have any of. And then all these advertisements. So once again, guys, thank you so much for watching my video. Please comment, like, and subscribe. and I appreciate the views. Till the next time.